Her range, her three-point shooting overall, her flair for testing her range every night and knowing that the other team's going to try to take it away. And she's fearless. No shot is a bad shot, and when you can shoot it as well as she can, she just adds another element of surprise that you can't really game plan for because it's so kind of just unseen. And once she crosses half court, she's within her range. It's always a threat. Biggest thing is how she balances that and her playmaking ability to get everybody else involved.
Just back up and shoot it from further back, too.
There you go.
Okay, how far can you go? Steph Curry range is no problem for you.
Yeah, no problem.
Sick. You're the best.
Women's college basketball, Caitlin Clark is really, for women's college basketball, it's a superstar. And women's college basketball ratings are the highest they've, I think, ever been. So she claimed fans are more excited for women's basketball than men's basketball, and I haven't seen the ratings, but women's college basketball is on fire, mostly because of Caitlin Clark, but also because of other things.
What's the difference now in this level of play now that you're playing with these professionals versus who you play with and against at Iowa?
I would say the biggest thing is just you can't take a second off. No matter who you're guarding, no matter if you're on offense or defense, like you breathe for 1 second and you're not looking at your man and she's on the other side of the court. So I think that's the biggest thing is everybody's so skilled. Like this is the most competitive league. It's certainly been a special year, and to be honest, like after last year, I was kind of like, well, how do we top doing what we did last year? And somehow, some way, every single person in our locker room believed, and to be honest, this year was probably more special than last year. I think we're just taking it one game at a time, and I think that's why we've been able to be successful in this stretch is because we haven't looked too far ahead. It's the game that's always just right in front of us. I'm pretty sure the only people that view this as a rivalry is all of you. Like, for us, like it's just a game of basketball. Like that's what it is, and I know obviously I had the opportunity to do that coming into the night because of it being on ESPN and talking to the reporters before. But I honestly didn't know I was going to eclipse 3,000 points until a few days ago. I was watching ESPN. I think it was the South Carolina game, and Debbie started talking about it, and I was like, oh, okay. But no, it's cool, and like you said earlier, it's special to be able to do it here. I have a lot of family in attendance, and be able to see that and. But it was kind of the same when I broke the Iowa scoring record.
The cool part is the way that she plays and her range and the level of difficulty on her shots is obviously a very close comparison to the way that I play.
I was going to say Caitlin Clark's been compared to you.
Yeah, but I think it almost robs her of like the rest of her game because she's such a good floor, she has her overall, floor game. She's racking up, close to triple doubles every night, and
Right.
Her shooting ability is, it's her superpower.
Do you see any comparisons in the way that she shoots to you? If people compare the way you two shoot, do you see anything?
I saw somebody break down the release time, which is pretty much identical to mine. And then her just confidence, you can't help but watch when she plays, where she's shooting from, the range, the confidence, the flair. Like, she's a performer.
And what's the best advice that has given you in game this season?
Nobody gives me advice in game. I wish. Cardoso has 17 rebounds. They have 51 as a team. We have 29. Like, hard to win a basketball game like that. You basically got to shoot perfect at that point. And, I'm just proud of our group. We never backed down, and, we gave it everything we got. I think for me is just the emotions will probably hit me over the next couple days, and I don't have much time to, sit around and sulk and be upset, and I don't think that's what I'm about either, yeah. I felt like Kels probably should have got a little love. I honestly thought she probably should have been player of the month. Just what she was doing, and at the clip she was doing it, I think she was like 50, 40, 90 this month, which is really, really hard to do. So I feel very fortunate to play with her, and honestly, I'm not even trying to be corny. Like, I really think she deserved it. I mean, what was that, June or July? We played them here last before the break, so I feel like both teams are quite a bit different. I think for us, especially, I think obviously we're playing some different lineups. I think we're playing with much more tempo. I think that's why you've seen us have more success. I think we're just playing at a faster pace, especially on offense. That's where we found a lot of our success is when we push the ball. But obviously that starts on defense. I think our defense has also improved, and that was probably our main focus point over the break. Felt like we were flowing well out there. Like, it just felt like pretty basketball. Like, and sometimes I think as a basketball player, like, you can just feel it. I thought that's what we had. Like I said, minus the first 6 minutes, I thought we played really well. And, you know, this was a big one for us. It almost counts towards 2 when you're in the playoff race of like a loss and a win. So we knew it was a big one, but also like we wanted to win the season series with them. That was kind of a focus point. And the last time we were here, we were up 15 in the fourth quarter and kind of, you know, fumbled it away. So,
This is the first time since 2014 that there's 2 rookie All-Stars with you and Angel Reese. Can you talk about just the impact that you and Angel have had so far in the WNBA?
Yeah, I think it's been great. Obviously, the attention that, you know, we're bringing and then that brings to everybody else, I think it's going to continue to help grow the game. And obviously, it's a super cool opportunity for us to be here and enjoy this first All-Star experience. And it's great for the fans. Obviously, the fans are super excited about it. So I think across the board, like, it's super exciting, but also it's like really hard to do. So just soak it in and enjoy it and celebrate it. I've always said that, like, people are sacrificing a lot to spend, you know, money to get here, spend resources to get here, or travel, or pay for their young daughter or their young son to come and watch us and support us, or buy our jerseys, or buy, you know, whatever merchandise it is. So I think it's like, I understand it because I was that young girl, and that's what my parents did too. You know, they were working parents. They would take time off to. I thought more than anything, I did a really good job of passing the ball, finding my teammates on, you know, open rolls, slips. I found Lou a couple times for a couple threes. I don't know. I mean, I think I got in the paint. Obviously, I would have liked to make a couple more threes, but sometimes that's how you shoot it. I thought Liz was really good. I thought Grace Berger came in and played really well.
Despite her efforts to boost the WNBA's popularity, Caitlin Clark has faced intense bullying, physically, mentally, and emotionally. From veterans to rookies, she's been relentlessly targeted. This has caught the attention of WNBA fans and NBA superstar Steph Curry. You won't believe his reactions to Caitlin Clark's mistreatment. The rise of the Indiana Fever's guard in the WNBA has been nothing short of revolutionary. The Caitlin effect on the league is undeniable. Beyond her talent, Caitlin's impact has been historic. There are now talks of a new media deal worth $200 million per season, with an additional $60 million possible. Currently, the league's deal is only $50 million per season, marking a 300% increase. The recent WNBA All-Star game also showcased the Caitlin effect, with fan voting up 600% from last year and viewership numbers set to be record-breaking. Last year's All-Star game drew an average of 850,000 viewers and peaked at 986,000, the highest in 16 years. This year's game surged to an average of 3.44 million viewers, a staggering 146% increase from the previous record. It's clear from these numbers that Caitlin Clark is not just the WNBA's brightest star, but the biggest in the league's history. Being a star isn't just about name or privilege, it's about raw talent, and Caitlin has that in spades. Her exceptional skills are causing envy and, regrettably, leading to bullying both on and off the court. Off the court, Caitlin Clark has faced unwarranted criticism from sports analysts and veterans trying to undermine her achievements. Fox Sports' Joy Taylor falsely claimed on national TV that Caitlin was unknown until Angel Reese's famous taunt in the 2023 NCAA championship game. We were not talking about Caitlin Clark before Angel Reese walked up to her, did this "you can't see me" taunt, and pointed to the ring. This is not my opinion. I lived it. I watched it. I was recorded. It was broadcast live. We were not talking about Caitlin before that moment, Taylor said. Meanwhile, sports journalist Monique Judge labeled Caitlin as the white damsel in distress in the WNBA and took a subtle swipe on Twitter, posting, "Caitlin is the Taylor Swift of women's basketball. No, I will not elaborate." Off the court, Caitlin Clark has faced harsh criticism, but on the court, reality is even harsher. Since her pro debut, Caitlin has endured relentless physical attacks. She's been targeted by both veterans and rookies, suffering from shoves
and Clark. I mean, that's clear, which was called. The question is, will they call it unnecessary? Kennedy Carter.
Elbows.
All of a sudden, we're pretty close. This has been as close as it's been all second quarter long, 44.
And full body hits.
One, which it probably should have been upon review, at least by our account. This, you could have gotten Reese for a personal, but can also see that being a no call.
Whether driven by jealousy or fear, the aggression she faces is palpable. The bullying is so severe that even the NBA has taken notice, with stars stepping forward to weigh in, including some you might not expect to speak out about the WNBA. Determining whether the aggression towards Caitlin stems from jealousy or fear is tough, but the fact remains that she's facing relentless bullying. The situation has drawn so much attention that even the NBA has taken notice, with stars, including some unexpected names, stepping up to comment on the issue and bring it to the WNBA and media's attention. The NBA reacts. Caitlin Clark's bullying, both on and off the court, hasn't escaped the notice of NBA players who have rallied to her defense. LeBron James, who faced his own struggles when drafted at 18, is among those speaking out. LeBron understands how media scrutiny can become intensely personal and how veterans might attack rather than appreciate your talent. Even Michael Jordan and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar didn't initially recognize his potential when he entered the NBA. LeBron had publicly defended Caitlin Clark, condemning her bullies. He's rooting for her to thrive in the WNBA and believes her presence is vital for raising the profile of women's basketball. The one thing that I love that she's bringing to her sport, more people want to watch. More people want to tune in. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it all effed up. Caitlin Clark is the reason why a lot of great things are going to happen for the WNBA. I'm rooting for Caitlin because I've been in that seat before. I've walked that road before. I hope she kills, LeBron said. Kevin Durant, another NBA superstar, has also voiced strong support for Caitlin Clark. The four-time scoring champ highlighted Caitlin's exclusion from Team USA for the 2024 Olympics. Durant believes Caitlin's success in the WNBA is shining a spotlight on other stars like Aja Wilson, and asserts that if Caitlin keeps performing despite the critics, she won't be overlooked for long. Additionally, 2015 NBA All-Star Jeff Teague has weighed in, calling Caitlin's bullies stupid and condemning their behavior. Recently shared NFL Hall of Famer Shannon Sharpe's views on Caitlin's bullying in the WNBA. Sharpe condemned the bullying, arguing it's unjust given Caitlin's role in drawing attention to the league. He pointed out that Caitlin's impact even helped Aja Wilson, a two-time MVP, secure a shoe deal. It's unnecessary and it's uncalled for, Sharpe declared. Longtime UConn head coach Gino Auriemma has also weighed in on Caitlin Clark's bullying, drawing a comparison between her impact and that of NBA legends Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, and Magic Johnson. I don't remember when Jordan entered the NBA, opponents targeting him to beat him up, Auriemma said. I don't recall Bird and Magic facing attacks just for elevating the NBA. Why are you blaming her? It's not Caitlin's fault that she's getting attention. If you could trade places with her, you would in a heartbeat. So why complain about her success? Former NBA star Matt Barnes voiced his concerns about Caitlin Clark's bullying by criticizing her teammates and coach for not protecting her. Barnes highlighted that Caitlin has been beat up, hard screens, elbows, knocked down throughout the season. He expressed frustration that despite being a superstar, her team and coach have allowed the bullying to escalate without intervention, which he finds unacceptable. I've seen a few players smirk when she's knocked down and barely make an effort to help her up. You're supposed to protect your star player, Matt Barnes said. While many NBA stars have defended Caitlin Clark, one notable figure who had remained silent for a while has now spoken up, the player she's often compared to, Steph Curry. Steph finally reacts. Caitlin Clark's game has often been compared to Steph Curry's due to their exceptional shooting skills from beyond the arc. It's no surprise that Steph discovered they share the same release time and range. Curry has consistently praised Caitlin's talent, even defending her from comparisons to himself. He believes such comparisons diminish her unique abilities and brilliant floor leadership. After remaining silent for some time, Steph has now addressed the bullying Caitlin has faced in the WNBA, expressing his deep appreciation for her contributions to women's basketball. When she shows up, the seats are filled and there's a different energy, Curry said. Steph addressed the bullying by acknowledging that while competition is part of the game, it's unjust for Caitlin to be targeted unfairly when her sole focus is to play. He encouraged her to stay focused, ignore the distractions, and continue playing, assuring that eventually she won't be overlooked. However, Steph and other NBA stars aren't the only ones speaking out about the bullying. According to one user, What I've come to hate are all of these people hating on Caitlin Clark and discussing the apparent bullying when all Caitlin has done is play basketball. Not a complaint from her. She's way more professional than just about any other person in the WNBA. Another user commented, "The players who stand up for Clark are actually those who love the game and the talents within." If you enjoyed this video, the next video on your screen is worth your time.
There's been a lot of hate for Caitlin Clark out there.
I think just the biggest thing is, it's really, really special, and I don't think it's going to set in for me for quite some time. I want my legacy to be the impact that I can have on young kids.
So if Caitlin Clark is the vehicle that will bring this sport that I have loved so much and so long, bravo.
Yeah.
I have no problem with that. With that being said, I do think that there is a thing called pretty privilege. There is a thing called white privilege. And Caitlin Clark is bringing this money into the league, and other players will benefit from it. But I do think that she is more relatable to more people because she's white, because she's attractive.
How can you not give her props? The girl is bad.
The assist, the unbelievable.
She's a phenomenal passer.
Yes, like that stuff. And all we hear is these women who are accomplished. Nobody's taking away your champion trophy.
Well, they're
and all
jealous.
That. They're jealous, Chris.
They're jealous that they didn't draw this level of attention.
17 games into her WNBA career, and Caitlin Clark has exceeded almost all expectations set for her. Despite several doubts, her skills and fame have since translated into the WNBA. Anyway, join me as I walk you through the things LeBron James tried to warn us about Caitlin Clark, because she is now everything he warned us about several years ago. The Rookie of the Century. Did you know that this season, Caitlin Clark has been more accurate from 30-plus feet than Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Luka Doncic? She is the fastest player in WNBA history to reach 250 points and 100 assists. The only rookie in WNBA history not named Cadence Parker to have multiple games with 30-plus points, 5-plus rebounds, and 5-plus assists. If there was ever someone who is generational, it's definitely Caitlin Clark. The rookie has taken the league by storm, and far from her impressive stats is her influence on the league itself. For the 2024 WNBA draft, the Indiana Fever guard had a record 2.45 million viewers tuning in to watch her be the first overall pick. To put it into perspective, the 2023 WNBA Finals, the most watched WNBA series in 20 years, only averaged 728,000 viewers on ESPN. The average number of viewers for WNBA Countdown's whole season has increased by 211% since she was drafted to 741,000 this year. Games starring Caitlin Clark have broken WNBA viewership records for 6 TV networks. This year's televised WNBA games are averaging 1.32 million viewers, nearly triple last season's average of 462,000. You should know that CBS Sports reported almost 3 million viewers for the matchup between Fever and the Chicago Sky, making it the most watched WNBA game of any network in 23 years. However, it is not just television ratings that are going up because of Caitlin Clark. She's also filling arenas as well. Compared to last year, attendance in the WNBA is up 156%, and more than half of all WNBA games this year have been sold out. The WNBA's Atlanta Dream typically play in a 3,500-seat arena. However, when they face Caitlin Clark's Indiana Fever, they moved their game to the nearest NBA arena, and the game was sold out. Almost 18,000 fans were in attendance. That's 5 times the Atlanta team's typical WNBA home arena capacity and a franchise record. The fame and talent to match it, and there is no denying that Caitlin Clark is one of one. The one-of-a-kind player NBA superstar LeBron James tried to warn us about. LeBron James warning.
Clark over Horston, hits a three. Wheeler finds Clark from the logo.
Fever looking for numbers. Clark to Wallace. Back to Clark. Shovel pass. Bust.
Clark has space. He's going to let it fly.
Before Caitlin Clark ever made it to the WNBA and caused this huge impact, she was tearing up the NCAA, and LeBron took notice. Obviously, it was in college that many NBA fans saw her play for the first time. Nonetheless, she had always been red hot before college and even earned a comparison to Steph Curry since high school. We're talking about a talent who had a 60-point game during her junior season in high school, setting a state single-game record with 13 three-pointers. In her junior year, Clark was the top scorer in the state, averaging 32.6 points, 6.8 rebounds, 3.6 assists, and 2.3 steals per game. In her senior year, she averaged 33.4 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2.7 steals per game, leading the state in scoring for a second consecutive year. Anyway, fast forward to college, and she was nothing short of phenomenal. We're talking about a freshman basketball player who set a record with 37 assists during the Big Ten tournament. In just her first year of college basketball, she shattered the NCAA tournament single-game records for points and three-pointers. Her total points, assists, field goals, and three-pointers led Division I in her rookie season. In her sophomore year, she became the fastest Big Ten player to reach 1,000 career points and became the first women's player to lead Division I in points and assists per game in a single season. Later in her junior season, she made history when she became the first player in the NCAA men's or women's tournament history to record a 30 or 40-point triple-double and the first with consecutive 40-point games. Her 191 total points were the highest by any player, male or female, in the NCAA tournament, and her 60 assists were the most by any player in the history of the women's tournament. Well, fast forward to her senior season, and she never stopped breaking records. I mean, what would you call someone who is the NCAA Division I all-time leader in points? We are talking about both men's and women's tournaments. Caitlin Clark holds the records for most points, assists, and made three-pointers in the NCAA Women's Tournament. She is the first player in NCAA Division I history to lead their conference in points and assists in 4 consecutive seasons, and the first woman in NCAA Division I history to have 3,800-plus points, 1,000-plus assists, and 950-plus rebounds during their career. Watching her was mind-blowing, so it's little surprise that LeBron James warned that she was an irreplaceable icon and even tweeted his support for her, even insinuating that she was bound to have strong haters, something he experienced too. If you don't rock with Caitlin Clark's game, you're just a flat-out hater. Stay far away from them, please, LeBron James tweeted. However, just as LeBron predicted, it didn't take long for those who were meant to lead her to turn against her and are still turning against her. WNBA Animosity. Coming into the basketball league used to mean rookies getting embraced and guided by veterans in the league. However, that hasn't been the case with Caitlin Clark. So far, in her short WNBA career, she has had to face this.
And Clark. I mean, that's clear, which was called. The question is, will they call it unnecessary? Kennedy Carter.
This.
Her first ever game in the WNBA, forcing 10 turnovers. Right there, you see Gino Auriemma.
And this.
Seattle, and all of a sudden, we're pretty close. This has been as close as it's been all second quarter long, 44.
Connecticut Sun star Dejanay Carrington didn't stop at flopping mockery. She even took it off court when she unprovoked tweeted, "Unfortunately for all you new fans, we do not just shut up and dribble here. You picked the wrong league." And later on, she questioned the 22-year-old rookie's silence despite being treated awfully. Dog, how can one not be bothered by their name being used to justify racism, bigotry, misogyny, xenophobia, homophobia, and the intersectionalities of all them is nuts? We all see that shit. We all have a platform. We all have a voice, and they all hold weight. Silence is a luxury, Carrington tweeted. Carrington isn't the only WNBA player to take it off court. Even Chicago Sky's Kennedy Carter, who shoved Caitlin, took a swipe at her, questioning what Clark brings to the table besides the ability to shoot three-pointers. Caitlin Clark has seen ESPN host Jameel Hill reduce her success and marketability to white privilege and her sexuality. TV host Sunny Hostin also echoed the same sentiment when she said, "Now Caitlin Clark is beginning this money, these sponsorships. We hope Into the League and other players will benefit from it. But I do think that she is more relatable to people because she's white, because she's attractive, and unfortunately, there still is that stigma against the LGBTQ+ community. When Caitlin Clark is not being subjected to blatant racism and sexism, she is also getting attacked by WNBA legends. Before the guard made it to the WNBA, Hall of Famer Cheryl Swoopes ignorantly questioned the legitimacy of her scoring record in college.
Records are made and set to be broken. But if you're going to break a record, this isn't just for Caitlin, but you asked me about Caitlin. If you're going to break a record, to me, if it's legitimate, you have to break that record in the same amount of time that that player set it.
Okay.
Right? So if Kelsey Plum set that record in 4 years, well, Caitlin should have broke that record in 4 years. But because there's a COVID year, and then there's another year, you know what I mean? So she's already had an extra year to break that record. So is it truly a broken record?
It doesn't even take much to find out that Caitlin Clark was in her 4th college year when she broke the all-time NCAA women's basketball scoring record, and interestingly, she did break it in fewer games than Kelsey Plum did. Later in the interview, Swoopes also claimed Caitlin was 5 years older than her competition, so breaking those records had to be easy for her.
But let's also talk about how much more experience that gives you over other players coming in, right? So people say, dang, like he or she's killing them. But you have a 25-year-old playing against a 20-year-old. Like, you should be killing them. Because you've been doing it a lot longer than they have.
But Caitlin was just 22 in her final year of college. Another WNBA star, 2-time WNBA MVP Breanna Stewart, also belittled Caitlin Clark's accomplishments when she claimed they are all for nothing since she has no title to her name.
So there's been this hot take debate about, do you need to have a championship for legacy when you talk about a women's college basketball player? You are the expert on this since you have 4. Does Caitlin Clark need a championship to be considered one of the greats in women's college basketball history?
Yeah, she does. I think so. Because then you're gonna look 10 years back and you're gonna see all the records she's broken and the points and stuff like that. But anybody knows, your goal when you play college basketball is to win a national championship. So you need one.
The list of animosity among WNBA stars and legends towards Caitlin Clark seems to be on the rise. And surprisingly, a lot of NBA stars have since come to her defense, particularly LeBron James. NBA players come to her defense. If there's one player who understands what Caitlin Clark is experiencing right now, then it's definitely LeBron James, who came into the league straight from high school. Nevertheless, given what she's being put through, the NBA superstar came to her support when he called out the animosity the 22-year-old guard is facing.
I'm just kind of in this mode right now because I'm getting the same thing from watching my son, who's a 19-year-old, kind of getting a lot of animosity and hatred towards him when he's just a kid trying to live out his dream. There's a very small number of men and women that actually get to live out their dream of playing a professional sport. And we have grown-ass men and women out here doing whatever they can to try to make sure that does not happen. That is the weirdest thing in the world, but it is what it is, and I'm glad that Caitlin has a great head on her shoulders.
NBA Hall of Famer Shaquille O'Neal also addressed the hatred and even called it professional jealousy.
Ratings are higher. They want to show out too.
You know what I call it? I call it stealing props. And I talk about this all the time, but when I use the J word, people are like, that's professional jealousy. Like, for example, if our podcast numbers are doing certain numbers and then a guy below us, oh, he's the best podcast ever. Me and you're going to be like, what the f?
Yeah. We're going to sit in the lab and come up with some cool stuff.
That's what I'm saying, so.
Another Hall of Famer, Charles Barkley, called the WNBA players petty for how they've treated Caitlin Clark so far.
You women out there, y'all petty, man. Hey, LeBron, you're 100% right on these girls hating on Caitlin Clark. Y'all petty, girls. I expect men to be petty because we're the most insecure group in the world.
Oh, you are.
Y'all should be thanking that girl for getting y'all ass private charters, all the money and visibility she bringing to the WNBA. Don't be petty like dudes.
Former NBA star Jeff Teague also weighed in on the issue on his podcast, letting everyone know that the hate she has been getting is unnecessary.
Like, they played this all wrong, bro.
Terribly, bro.
They were supposed to gas this shit.
In fact, longtime UConn head coach Gino Auriemma, who has been a huge critic of Caitlin Clark's fans, had to finally admit that she is being unfairly treated by her fellow WNBA players. "I don't remember when Jordan came into the NBA, guys looking to go out and beat him up," Auriemma said. "I don't remember when Larry Bird and Magic Johnson came in the league and elevated the NBA, them getting targeted and getting beat up just because of who they were and the attention they were getting. Why are you blaming that kid? It's not her fault because you would trade places with her in a minute, but you are not there. You're not her. So you're complaining that she's getting what she's getting," Auriemma said. In any case, it is a sad reality that this rookie has to face this much animosity despite LeBron warning us all. Nevertheless, we can only hope it doesn't get to her, so she can keep hooping, because there's no denying Caitlin Clark is something more than just basketball. Anyway, some fans have shared their opinion on the Caitlin Clark drama, and according to one user's comments, "It's comical how they want everyone to support the WNBA, but they can't even support a WNBA player who's bringing them views, which equals revenue." Another user commented, "It's one thing for a rookie to get played hard, but to celebrate a flagrant foul shows a complete lack of character." If you enjoyed this video, the next video on your screen is worth your time.
Honestly, I have no idea. I was just trying to get to the handshake line and shake hands and, be grateful that my team was in that position. That's all you can do is, hold your head high, be proud of what you did, and, all the credit in the world to LSU. They were tremendous. They deserve it. I would say the biggest thing is just you can't take a second off, no matter who you're guarding. No matter if you're on offense or defense, like you breathe for 1 second and you're not looking at your man and she's on the other side of the court. So
for me, I vividly remember my freshman year during the bubble, we played Kentucky in the round of 32 and Tamika was on the game and I was tweaking out. I couldn't believe she was calling one of my games, somebody I idolized.
Has Caitlin Clark's rise to stardom in the WNBA been marred by controversy and mistreatment? This question has sparked debates among fans, analysts, and players alike. Caitlin Clark's transition from a collegiate sensation to a WNBA player was anticipated with bated breath. Known for her sharp shooting skills and undeniable court presence, Clark seemed destined to take the league by storm. Yet, as the games rolled on, whispers of discontent and controversy began to swirl around her name. This article seeks to unravel the complex dynamics that have accompanied Clark's journey in the WNBA, shedding light on the disillusionment, alleged mistreatment, and the broader impact on women's basketball culture. Buckle up as we dive into the gripping tale of Caitlin Clark's tumultuous path in professional basketball. Disillusionment with the WNBA? So, Caitlin Clark's meteoric rise through the ranks of college basketball had everyone's attention. Her transition to the WNBA was highly anticipated, but, oh boy, reality sometimes bites harder than expectations. Let's dive into why the WNBA has left some of Clark's fans scratching their heads. Comparison to college basketball. First off, the style of play. If you've watched Clark dominate on the college courts, you know it's a spectacle of sheer skill, teamwork, and, dare I say, a dash of high-energy basketball bliss. Now, don't get me wrong, the WNBA has its gems, but the game can feel starkly different. There's a palpable shift from the raw, enthusiastic energy of college games to a more restrained, sometimes grinded-out style in the WNBA. Some say it's like watching two entirely different sports. Scandalous angle. Now let's rip the Band-Aid off and get to the juicy part, the dark underbelly. The WNBA, in its quest for profitability, can sometimes emphasize physicality over finesse. Sure, it's a professional league, but does that mean the game should edge towards brutality? And speaking of profits, isn't it scandalous how money often dictates the game? It's rumored that profit-driven motives sometimes overshadow pure sportsmanship, affecting player treatment and game dynamics. Criticism of player treatment. And here's the kicker: the alleged mistreatment of star players. Caitlin Clark, with her dazzling college career, walked into the league a shining star, but the limelight brings not just attention, but scrutiny and, at times, disdain. The focus on individual performances can be a double-edged sword. Yes, it's thrilling to watch stars like Clark in action, but the league's heavy marketing and pressure on players to perform continuously at peak levels can lead to burnout and resentment. It almost feels like standout players are sometimes thrown under the bus for the sake of a headline. So, while the WNBA promises big lights and big games, for some, it's a stage where the behind-the-scenes drama can overshadow the on-court action. For Caitlin Clark and many fans, the honeymoon phase with the league might be over, leaving a sense of disillusionment hanging in the air. Bullying and abuse towards Caitlin Clark. Let's get straight to it. Caitlin Clark's journey in the WNBA, while awe-inspiring, has been turbulent, to say the least. The talent of this rising star has not only shone brightly, but has also cast long shadows, revealing the darker aspects of the league. When it comes to mistreatment, Clark has faced both physical and mental challenges, often at the hands of fellow players. You might wonder, why would this happen? Isn't everyone in it together? Well, buckle up, because here's where it gets messy. Instances of mistreatment. From on-court scuffles to off-court psychological tactics, Clark's experiences paint a rather grim picture. During games, she's often marked for aggressive fouls, beyond what one would consider just part of the game. We're talking elbows to the ribs, not-so-subtle shoves, and whispers intended to break her focus. Off the court, the pressures and manipulations intensify. We've heard reports of locker room cold shoulders and social media snubs, isolating her in a world that's supposed to celebrate camaraderie and team spirit. Motivations behind the hostility. So, what's driving this hostility? Speculation runs rife. For one, Caitlin's rapid ascendancy and impressive endorsements may have stirred the pot of envy among her peers. Jealousy, believe it or not, can transform competitive spirit into outright bitterness. There's an unspoken fear amongst some players that Clark's meteoric rise could eclipse their own careers, creating a toxic environment fueled by insecurity. Endorsements also play a huge part. With high-profile brands flocking to Clark, the financial disparity becomes evident. Some players, seeing Clark's earnings skyrocket, might feel slighted or left behind. It's a classic recipe for resentment that translates into real-world bullying. Lastly, there's the looming shadow of being overshadowed. In a league where every player has fought tooth and nail for recognition, Clark's bright light can unfortunately cast shadows over others. This fear, irrational yet potent, cultivates a culture where tearing down becomes the default response to someone else's success. In summary, Caitlin Clark's rude awakening to the WNBA isn't just about adjusting to the professional level of play. It's about navigating a labyrinth of jealousy, financial envy, and fear of being overshadowed. These elements combine to create an environment rife with bullying and abuse, painting a picture of the league that might shock ardent fans. Controversial treatment and marketing tactics. When it comes to Caitlin Clark, some say the WNBA is playing a high-stakes game, using controversial treatment as a marketing tool. Is this strategic mistreatment a page borrowed from the playbook of reality TV shows, where drama drives viewership? It's hard not to wonder, have they crafted a narrative around Clark that keeps the spotlight and the dollars flowing? Let's take a closer look at this scandalous possibility. Clark, with her undeniable talent and charisma, isn't just a rising star, she's a jackpot. Every shove on the court, every heated post-game interview feeds a growing spectacle. Can you imagine the boardroom discussions? We need more eyes on us. Let's give them something to talk about. And bam, the narrative of Caitlin Clark versus the league is born. Some insiders speculate this might be a calculated move to harness the power of controversy. A seasoned marketing strategist once said, "In sports, as in life, the squeaky wheel gets the grease." The idea that controversy can boost ratings and merchandise sales isn't just plausible, it's practically proven. Take a look at the spikes in social media engagement whenever Clark's name enters a heated headline. However, marketing through mistreatment isn't just edgy, it's dangerous. While it might generate short-term buzz, it risks long-term damage to the league's reputation and, more importantly, to the player's mental health. Caitlin Clark might be a supernova, but even stars can burn out under the pressure of relentless scrutiny and hostility. So, who's really benefiting from this controversial treatment? The league may see a temporary surge in viewership and profits, but at what cost? When the dust settles, will the WNBA be remembered for nurturing genuine talent or for sacrificing player well-being at the altar of controversy? To truly support and celebrate athletes like Caitlin Clark, the league needs to pivot from scandal to substance. ensuring that engagement comes from admiration and respect, rather than orchestrated drama. Because when controversy sells, it often leaves behind a taint that can be as long-lasting as the controversy itself. Recommendations for authentic basketball experiences. For those disillusioned by the corporate-centric shenanigans and controversies swirling around the professional leagues, I hear you. There's a special kind of magic that high school and college basketball holds, where the game retains its raw, unembellished purity, untouched by the cutthroat politics and profit pressures that can plague the professional world. Call to action, rediscovering pure passion. If Caitlin Clark's ordeal has left you yearning for a return to a more authentic, heart-driven experience, look no further than your local gym or university's court. High school and college basketball showcase the sport in its most genuine form, with players who are often fueled by unadulterated passion and a love for the game that shines brighter than any ring or commercial contract. Insightful perspective. Why the purity of basketball may lie beyond the WNBA for some. High school tournaments and NCAA games are incubators of talent, where the drive to win isn't overshadowed by endorsement deals or media narratives. Here, you'll witness budding stars who play not for fame, but for the sheer joy of it. The kind of purity that can sometimes get lost at the professional level. Imagine the energy-packed gymnasiums where the stakes are high, not for a paycheck, but for pride, school spirit, and a shot at the big leagues. Moreover, college basketball often offers a richer, more varied tapestry of playing styles. Coaches experiment with innovative strategies, and players develop their own unique flair, adding a layer of unpredictability and excitement. You can almost feel the heartbeats of these young athletes. With every dribble and shot, they're writing their basketball stories in real time, and it's a privilege to watch. A clearer view of community and camaraderie. Another upside? The sense of community. High school and college games are attended by friends, family, and locals, creating an electrifying atmosphere you can't buy. The cheers are louder, the rivalries fiercer, and every point scored feels like a collective victory or defeat. This grassroots level of the game preserves the spirit of basketball as a unifying force, rather than a divisive battleground. So, if Caitlin Clark's trials in the WNBA have made you question where the soul of basketball truly lies, take a step back and refocus on the foundation of the sport. High school and college arenas might just be the refreshing oasis you need, a place where basketball remains a beloved craft rather than a commercial enterprise. Embrace the chaos, the thrill, and the unfiltered passion. It could very well reignite your love for the game, league response, and impact on women's basketball culture. The WNBA's response to the controversy surrounding Caitlin Clark has been a whirlwind of public statements, internal memos, and uneasy silence. The league's official stance is that it does not tolerate mistreatment or bullying of any kind, and it has promised thorough investigations into any allegations. Yet many fans and critics can't help but feel the response is more performative damage control than a genuine resolve to change the entrenched culture. So, what has really been the impact of these controversies on women's basketball culture? Well, it's a double-edged sword. On one hand, the heightened spotlight on Clark and the scandalous drama has undoubtedly brought more attention to the league. Social media is abuzz. Ticket sales have seen a curious spike, and merchandise sporting Clark's name is flying off the shelves. People are tuning in, perhaps as much for the scandal as for the sport. But let's stir the pot a little more. Does this kind of attention uplift or undermine the integrity of women's basketball? The toxic dynamics and the strategic mistreatment, perceived or real, risk overshadowing the game's true spirit, skill, sportsmanship, and pure competition. Instead of being celebrated solely for her extraordinary talent, Clark is becoming a character in a controversial drama, with narratives possibly crafted for profit and viewership. By placing these controversies in the spotlight, the WNBA is walking a tightrope between promoting engagement and damaging the core values it stands for. If the league focuses only on the buzz and not on substantive changes, this could set a troubling precedent. Players may begin to feel that their value is tied more to how much drama they can generate rather than their athletic prowess. In short, While the WNBA's reaction might be winning it temporary attention, the long-term implications for women's basketball culture could be far-reaching. It's not just about handling a scandal, it's about forging a respectful, inclusive, and genuinely supportive environment that allows talents like Caitlin Clark to shine without the shadow of controversy. Until then, the debate will keep heating up. Is it all performance, or is there hope for real transformation on the horizon? Caitlin Clark's journey into the WNBA was expected to be a promising ascent, laden with accolades and appreciation. Instead, it has hit speed bumps laden with controversy and dismay. The array of challenges she has faced, from the physical and mental abuse by fellow players to the clash with the league's reportedly profit-driven motives, paints a grim picture of the struggles even standout athletes endure. It's hard not to sympathize with Clark, who has found herself navigating a hostile environment rather than enjoying a supportive platform that celebrates her talents. The swirling rumors and speculations about jealousy, fear of overshadowing, and strategic mistreatment to fuel drama add unnecessary strain on what should be a celebrated career. As fans and enthusiasts of the sport, it's our responsibility to rally behind players like Caitlin Clark, who represent the bright future of women's basketball. The WNBA must heed these calls for reform, valuing fair treatment and recognition to preserve the sport's integrity. Because ultimately, treating athletes with the respect and dignity they deserve shouldn't be a point of controversy. It should be a given.